Even the youngest millennials are now above college age. Why are millennials still treated as they used to be honest, our parents were treated this way too. Until the generation that's come before you almost totally dies, you'll still have an elder looking at you as an inexperienced child. Interestingly, although we call them boomers, their parents, our grandparents, also called them the me generation. My nan always called them that. She also said we the grandkids are going to get the shit end of the stick. R.I.P. nanny cakes. Bless her heart. She was a wise woman. I have a lot of hope for Gen Z. They seem like good, politically active kids. I was so proud during the climate protests. That's not different from young people demonstrating in the 60s, 70s, whatever. Also, my brother, whose class also took place in the demonstration, told me that he and many of his friends just took part to skip school, so there's that. I think it's a situation where the younger generation is rising to the issues of their time. Definitely similar to protests of previous generations. And yes, there will always be a substantial number of those who aren't interested in the activism and just want to avoid school. Because the previous generation refuses to acknowledge that they're getting old. If you were born between 1982 and 1996, you're a millennial. The tail end is still in college. It's kind of hard to get any momentum going against Gen Z. They're anywhere from high school age to born a couple of years ago. They don't have a cohesive voice or haven't exhibited behavior that deserves focus. Edit. Lot of people complaining to me about how long a generation is. I'm sorry, I didn't make that decision. They are building their voice quickly. High school students in Quebec have protested every Friday for many consecutive weeks about the lack of urgency in handling climate change. The kids who have lived through school shootings are speaking up against the policies and organizations that allowed shooters to access guns. The coming generation is hugely socially aware and are banding together quickly and cohesively. They are working towards rebuilding a world that falls in line with their values. I've always found it better to think of it in terms of major turning points instead of in terms of generations. I regard Gen Z as anyone too young to remember 9/11. The millennials are anyone old enough to have meaningful memories of 9/11, but not the world before the internet. Gen X can remember when the internet didn't exist and the tail end of the Cold War, but not Watergate or Woodstock. Boomers lived through the civil rights movement in Vietnam, but not World War II. So on and so forth. It has less to do with how old you are exactly and more to do with what culturally formative events are living memories to you and which are just facts from a history book. Millennials is just a term that people use to complain about any young person or kids these days. It's completely lost all meaning. This is the only answer. I doubt many baby boomers or any of the greatest generation know the term gens. It's easy to spot gens. They are usually dancing like Fortnite characters. Kids do dumb things regardless of generation. Yet, millennials downloaded low-resolution porn. Gens has their dance moves and crippling anxiety. Millennials had the RuneScape dance. At least my circle did. Also Naruto running. For me, Gen Z equals teenagers now approximately, give or take a few years. Is that correct? Rough guide is millennials were born before the new millennium but became adults during it, and Gen Zers were born totally in the new millennium. The line between millennial and Gen Z for me has always been, do you remember 9/11 happening? I think the mark was 2000 or 2001. I'm a Gen Z and I'm 17. According to Wikipedia it is from 1997. Not sure if it is correct. I was born in 1997, so I technically fall in that category. I am now almost done with university. I was born in 1997. too. I tend to it more with Gen Z, but my childhood aligns more with millennials. Most of the people I see complaining about millennials are actually the oldest millennials. I like to use millennials born in 1982, only for joking about certain industries failing. Those damn millennials are killing the napkin industry. Because for some reason many people think millennials are like 17. I don't get it. I am a millennial and I'm pushing 40. For many people, millennial is just a synonym for young person. Yay. People tend to mistake people born around 2000 as millennials. Gen Y started in the 80s, though actually 1981, so millennials can even be 38. Yup, late Gen X, first year of millennials. It hit me when I first learned to count that I would turn 18 in the year 2000. It all felt so futuristic at the time. It's because we were kids when the tech boom hit. I remember floppy disks, Macintosh computers, and those giant DVDs that were the high-res science videos.